Hello, my name is Todd Evans, and I am a Level 2 Product Support Engineer at Cole Morgan. And this video series is an introduction to the AKD Ethernet IP servo drive. Welcome to the AKD Ethernet IP video series. In video 3, we're going to talk about how to get help, including manuals, add-on instructions, getting started guide, sample project, and other available support to help first-time users of the AKD Ethernet IP drive to get started on the path to success. From the home page of the colemorgan.com website, if you hover your mouse over products, you will see a pop-up window. If you click on drives, it will further expand, showing product lists. On the leftmost column, servo drive, second one down, is the AKD. If you click on it, it will take you to the main support page for the AKD series servo drives. If you scroll down below, you'll notice from left to right tabs such as features, specifications, manuals, literature, and so forth. If you click on manuals, then it will show you a list of manuals that are relevant to the AKD servo drive. Regardless of using Ethernet IP or not, I always encourage users to review the AKD installation manual. It will cover everything that you need to know as far as mounting, wiring practices, fusing, and etc. In regards to Ethernet IP support, there are two manuals. The first is the AKD Ethernet IP communication manual. This is more specific to the Ethernet IP protocol specification, how it applies to the AKD, and is not specific to a particular Ethernet IP master. It covers things like command and response assemblies and command types and methods to be used with the AKD over Ethernet IP. The other manual is called the AKD Ethernet IP with RS Logic's communication manual. This manual is more focused on programming in the RS Logic's environment and covers the add-on instruction library which were created to use with the Compactor Control Logix PLC and the RS Logix 5000 or Studio 5000 programming environment. This manual will cover things such as adding the AKD Ethernet IP support to a new or existing project, although we encourage you to use the quick start with the AKD sample project first before embarking on trying to create your own or existing project with the Ethernet IP add-on instructions. You'll also notice in Chapter 6 there's definitions of each add-on instruction. We'll go into this further detail later. Moving along, in addition to these two manuals, if you navigate to the firmware software tab and then you scroll down to sample projects, the first entry is the add-on instruction library for AKD Ethernet IP zip file. If I open it up, you can see the contents. There's a folder with the add-on instructions, which these are the most current released add-on instructions. Keep in mind we may create new add-on instructions from time to time or revise the add-on instruction revision. So check back with us and the website from time to time in the future for newer versions. There's also a folder for the data types which the add-on instructions are code dependent on. In tandem, there are two files, a Excel spreadsheet and also a text file. Both of these summarize the revisions and some of the changes made to those revisions, and you'll notice that it's called version 4.0, which is consistent with the getting started guide and also the simple example program for RS Logix 5000. Getting Started guide is intended to supplement the two Ethernet IP manuals on our website. It covers many topics, including how to use the sample project, Ethernet IP scaling, common mistakes that we've seen that create timing or communication issues, and also frequently asked questions. We will cover the simple example project in greater detail later in a later video in this series. Keep in mind all these documents are subject to changes in the future. There are other support documentation that's available that will be application dependent, so please discuss your application with us and we can provide other documentation appropriate to it. Finally, on this same tab, Firmware Software, if you scroll up, you will notice that there is a list of firmware files, which is the latest production release. It is generally a good idea for new applications and projects to use the latest production release of Workbench and the AKD Ethernet IP firmware. You'll notice that the firmware is hardware dependent, and in this case for an Ethernet IP drive it's going to be the AKD-P-NVEI and then the revision. If I click and open up that firmware file, you'll notice that there's some firmware release notes, there's the EDS file, and then the firmware file. In regards to the EDS file, note that some products or controllers may require the EDS file in order to configure Ethernet IP communications with the AKD. However, we have not used it ourselves with the controllers that we officially support, and that is the compact logics or control logics, and it is not required. In general, the AKD is set up as a generic Ethernet module in the Allen Bradley software. In addition to these support files and documentation on our main page, you can scroll up over your mouse over Service and Support, and it will pop up a window, the Cole Morgan Developer Network, or KDN for short. If you click on the home icon in the pop-up window, it will bring you to a search engine. Enter your keywords. If you type AKD Ethernet IP landing page, enter. The first article is the AKD Ethernet IP Fieldbus landing page. This was created as a support portal for all things AKD Ethernet IP. If you scroll down and you look at the way that the page is organized, there's a section under Application Notes, Getting Started, Add-on Instruction Topics and Additional Application Specific Add-on Instructions, Diagnostics and Status, a special section on Micrologix 1400 support, miscellaneous, then a section on frequently asked questions such as connectivity, homing, limitations, programming, and diagnostics. And then there's a special section on non-Allen Bradley controllers. Each of these texts that are in blue are a link to another article, and most of the time the articles have the details but also an attachment, which is the PDF, which you can download to your PC for reference later. Go back. So please review this portal and note some of the articles and application notes that may be applicable and may assist you in your application.